Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamaruzzaman Sahib Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Sunday, the 9th of Rabi'ul Akhir 1446, 13th of October 2024. Hazrat Wala is saying that the silsila, this pattern, the system of coming here and we gather and we sit in this Majlis, maybe not bayan, but definitely from a kitab, something. This is continuing from some many long years. Rather, we trace it back right to the time of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib. Allah Ta'ala keep this continuous and let the benefits of it be long-lasting, tremendous and perfect. So here, we are speaking about the need and the importance of remaining in the company of spiritual masters. This has been explained by Shaykh Abdul Haq Muhaddis Delvi rahimahullah in his introduction to Akhbarul Akhyar. He mentions and says, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Peace and salutations to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This insignificant servant Abdul Haq Ibn Saifuddin Turk Ad-Dalwi Bukhari states, all erudite and insightful scholars who are listed amongst the enlightened and reliable personalities accept that the most effective, in fact the most superior form of ibadat and worship is the suhbah and companionship of the Ahlullah and remaining in the company of the close servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a seeker observes their steadfastness, firmness and unity of purpose, he develops strength and courage. Consequently, the fatigue of worship and the difficulties of spiritual exercises, which are essentials of this path, become easy for him. In fact, when he holds their beauty, when he beholds their beauty, the beauty of the Ahlullah, by just looking at them, his heart develops a special effulgence. As a result, the darkness of doubts and misgivings, which is the real cause behind the barrier between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is removed from his heart. Now you look at them, they are in difficulty, these Ahlullah, but they are so connected. Allah Ta'ala se lo lagaye hue to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib, many times he was in much difficulty. Sometimes he could not even manage to go read Jamaat Salat, congregational Salat. Then too, he would pick himself up, put himself together, and he would attend the masjid for congregational Salat. His majlis and spiritual discourses, despite so much of difficulty, he would be continuous with that. He would be fit and up and about to carry out his things, ibadat, tilawat, etc. It would take him some long time because he was so meticulous in just carrying out his wudu. He would pay so much of attention to it so that he could carry it out in a most beautiful manner. It was the heat, sun, etc., but nothing stopped him. Sometimes he would say, I'm unable to go. And then he would pluck up the courage and then he would then go to the masjid. We're speaking about a time when he had reached old age, had become weak and was in illness. So when we look at their halat, some kayfiyat and a new hal and spiritual condition is blessed to the onlooker. So we should practice on azimat. There was a person, what we would say, senior person, but maybe not in age. And he would come and say, Hazrat, I read my Nafal Salat sitting. Now how is it? You are young. This is nothing other than that of laziness. Hazrat Tanvi used to say that people would come, maybe before that also they would engage in Nafal Salat. But once they read Nurul Idah and Quduri, then what do they say? That it is not Sunnat Mu'akkada, that's why we are not reading it. Now all of this here is against the grain of love. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab reached old age, but he would never leave out his tahajjud. So here, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab is saying, look, Shaykh Muhaddith Rahimahullah is saying that companionship of spiritual masters is one of the most superior forms of ibadat. The proof is that he is giving is that when a seeker observes their firmness and steadfastness, it gives him courage and strength. This enables him to bear the difficulties of doing good actions. When he beholds their beauty, his heart develops enlightenment, which removes the darkness of doubts, and the veil is raised. Now, the same theme is expressed by Hazrat Qazi Sanaullah Sahab Panipati Rahimahullah. He says, a group comprising countless people of whom it is inconceivable that they will conquer on fabricating a lie, and whose every member is on such a level of piety and knowledge that it is impermissible to accuse him of lying, have stated that their writings and speeches that in their writings and their speeches that the company of the spiritual masters created a new halat, a condition in their hearts. This condition caused them to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His friends, created enthusiasm for good deeds, conferred them with divine inspiration for righteous deeds, and entrenched true and correct beliefs in them. This is a condition which ought to be referred to as perfection. It is a condition which is a catalyst for many other perfections and excellences. Now the Qazi Sahab presents a striking and a proof of for the blessings and benefits of company of the spiritual masters, namely, countless people developed a new spiritual condition which they did not have previously. He then describes the group wherein every member is on the highest level of piety and knowledge, making it impossible to accuse them of fabricating a lie. It is, if this is the condition of every member of a group, it will obviously be immensely dependable and reliable, and if its members pass a unanimous decision on a certain matter, it will certainly be an absolute and definitive decision, as though Qazi Sahab is saying that such a large number of people in every era have been speaking and writing on this, that it has reached the level of tawatur. Now, there is no room for rejection by anyone. The new condition which develops in the heart by virtue of the company of the spiritual masters refers to Nisbat Ihsan, which is mentioned in the hadith of Jibreel, that Anta Abudullah ka'annaka tarah, that you should worship Allah as though you see Him. I do not think that there is a need to speak further on the need and importance of good company. If anyone wants details, he may study the monograph Fawahidus Sohbah of Hazrat Muslihul Ummah. It will certainly be enlightening, and it will help the reader to understand the subject. Now, I make an earnest appeal to those who, by Allah's grace, are able to be in the company of an expert sheikh should do so with a genuine intention and sound conviction. Whatever time they can spend with him should be considered to be a boon, and they must acquire the spiritual blessings from him. Not only that, our Hazrat Wala is saying, I request you to make dua for me as well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enables me to rectify my character, makes purification and tazkiyah for the nafs easy, confers me with His love and affiliation. Ameen. May Allah ta'ala bless me, you and all the Muslims with this. Now, our Hazrat Wala is saying, सही मानों में अगर सोहबत हो तो बहुत सी चीज़ें की इस्लाह. That in the real and true sense, genuine sense, if somebody stays in the company of these great spiritual masters, then many things of his would be rectified and corrected. Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahib, we're speaking about Azimat. At the age of 90, he would then still force himself and he would stand and read Salat. Now we're speaking about going to the spiritual masters, the likes of Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Gangohi, who was a sanad of the Mutaakhirin. They went to Hazrat Haji Sahib. Now, and what was it there? After going to him, ek nayi kaifiyat paida ho gayi. This new spiritual state and condition, their entire condition changed, was created in them, which was not there before. Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahib used to say, I did not go to Hazrat Haji Sahib for his amal. I went to him for his knowledge. You know, that earthen pot which is connected to the oceans will never ever run dry. Now Hazrat Haji Sahib was connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he used to speak, he was speaking from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this wealth never ever comes to an end. This is the nature of this wealth. Now this article of Hazrat Qazi Sanaullah rahimahullah was of such a nature, we just read it here, you can understand and estimate from it, that whichever ulama used to come to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib, he used to read out this article to them. We also reading it. Allah Ta'ala, look at the spiritual masters. Allah Ta'ala make us like them as well. That just merely by our hearts, they benefit from our knowledge. You know, Hazrat Gangohi rahimahullah was a man of great knowledge. Sometimes we think that he was just khushk and dry like this. No, not like that. Rather, he was a man who possessed great spiritual states. Okay, thereafter Hazrat Wala then goes on to the next article, which is that of Hazrat Zainul Abidin and Asmu'i. Asmu'i relates, I was performing tawaf of the Kaaba one night when I saw a youngster holding the ghilaf, the cover of the Kaaba, and saying these couplets. Ya man yujibu du'a al-muttarri fi dhulami, ya kashif ad-durri wal-balwa ma'a-saqami. O that Zat and Being who accepts the dua of the restless in the darkness. O the one who removes affliction and grief from the sick. قد نام وفدك حول البيت وانتهبوا وأنت يا حيوم يا قيوم لم تنمي. The delegation which came to you walked around the Kaaba. They got tired. They then went and they slept. They woke up again. But you, O Allah, the living, the upholder of all, never sleep. أدعوك ربي حزينا هائما قلقا. فارحم بكائي بحق البيت والحرم. O my Allah, I am beseeching you while I am in the state of sorrow, distress and anguish. So show mercy to my crying by virtue of the Kaaba and the Haram. إن كان جودك لا يرجوه ذو سفه فمن يجود على العاصين بالكرم. If a foolish person, a sinner, cannot have the hope of your pardon, who is going to pardon the sinners with kindness? The person read the above couplets, cried profusely, and then made the following supplication: ألا أيها المقصود في كل حاجة شكوت إليك الضر فارحم شكايتي. O you who are the objective of every need, I described my problem to you, so remove my problem. ألا يا رجائي أنت تكشف كربتي فهب لي ذنوبي كلها واقض حاجتي. O that Zat and Being in whom I placed all my hopes, you alone can remove my worry and grief, pardon all my sins and fulfill my needs. أتيت بأعمال قباح ردية وما في الوراء عبد جنى كجنايتي. I have come before you with despicable and contemptible sins. I do not think that there is anyone in the world who is a worse sinner than me. أتحرقني بالنار يا غاية المنى فأين رجائي ثم أين مخافتي. O the end of all my hopes, are you going to burn me in the fire? If this were to happen, of what benefit would my hopes have been, and of what benefit would my fear have been? In other words, my hopes in you and my fear of you did not benefit me. After saying the above, the person lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Asma'i rahimahullah relates, I went close to the youngster and I realized he was Hazrat Zainul Abidin Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib rahimahullah ta'ala. On seeing this, I raised his head, placed it on my lap and began crying myself. A few drops of my tears fell on his cheek. This caused him to open his eyes and he said, who is this person who has become an obstacle between me and my Allah and is crowding me? I replied, Hazrat, I am your servant Asmu'i. I added, O our master, you are the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and from the fountainhead of messengership. Why then are you so fearful? Did Allah Ta'ala not say, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. Allah only wants to remove the loathsome things from you, O family of the Prophet, and to completely purify you. He replied, O Asmu'i, what are you saying? Allah Ta'ala created Jannah for His obedient servants, even if they are Abyssinian slaves, and Jahannam for the sinners, even if they are free Quraysh people. Did Allah Ta'ala not say, فَإِذَا نُفِخَ فِي السُّورِ فَلَا أَنْسَابَ بَيْنَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ وَلَا يَتَسَاءَلُونَ فَمَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ وَمَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُولَئِكَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ فِي جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدُونَ. Then, when the trumpet is blown, neither will there be kinship on that day, nor will they ask about one another. Then he whose scales are heavy, it is they who are successful, and he whose scales are light, it is they who squandered their own selves, abiding in hell forever. Subhanallah, glory to Allah. Look at the pure condition of his pure heart. At the same time, he followed the Sunnah strictly by demonstrating the hal of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for future generations through his own hal and condition. How many people must have been influenced and impacted through his spiritual condition and hal? This is known to Allah alone. This chain continued and will continue even if it is in minuscule amounts. Now let's continue and speak about the fear and submission of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir Jilani rahimahullah. Now observe the fear and submission of Hazrat Sayyidina Abdul Qadir rahimahullah. Hazrat Shaykh Saadi writes in his Gulista that Hazrat rahimahullah, Shaykh rahimahullah, went for Hajj one year. People saw him placing his forehead on the pebbles which were in the haram of the Kaaba. And he was making this dua, "O Allah, pardon me. If I am deserving of punishment, then raise me on the day of Qiyamah as a blind person, so that I do not have to feel ashamed in front of the pious ones." Subhanallah, what a beautiful hal, spiritual state of hope and fear, raja and khawf. We always hear the words of hope and fear being uttered, but we are able to understand their real meaning by observing the spiritual condition and actions of these personalities. These personalities. You know, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, hardly a month would pass and he would read out these waqi'ahs and incidents to us. Now what type of high spiritual states, Allahu Akbar, Allah Ta'ala in ahwal se humko muttasif farma de. Allah Ta'ala embellish us and decorate us with these great spiritual states and conditions. Allahumma ja'alil Qur'an al-azim rabi'a qalbi wa jila'a huzni wa dhihaba hammi. O Allah, make the Qur'an the fountain of our hearts, the remover of our sorrows and our griefs. Allah Ta'ala make it such that our hearts take great effect from these waqi'ahs. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Allah Ta'ala इन अकाबिरीन के सीरत को इख्तियार करने की तौफीक नसीब कर दे. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of adopting this sirat and this grand examples and their life. Give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of adopting it. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.